Trevor?
What?
I'm fucking hung up.
Heard I see it. Tripod's kind of sideways.
It's okay.
A bad idea all the way around. And Frank was there. It wasn't even a better idea. If two other people were there to help us, still wasn't a good idea. It was a bad idea. It was definitely the worst in a spur of the moment. For the camera drops, you can use some of this in there. So on the camera drops, obviously the problem is controlling the spins, the IR. Unfortunately, a couple times I had it where I should have, and I didn't realize it at the time. I took it off the night vision. I should have left it off and done some drops without it. I think the available light we had would have done better. The other problem is I didn't realize is that where it was sitting, because we couldn't get really good eyes on where the camera was facing, or the night vision was facing. But the other side of it was I didn't always know if it was sitting on the ground. So sometimes I'm just holding it still, thinking it's down and it's maybe giving us a shot. And I should have been far more patient. And it was a lesson definitely learned looking at the footage of, you know, you need to have eyes on what you're seeing and what you're doing. It was just unfortunate. We could not see it from where we were, and then, you know, at the end, it's just me trying to hold things and do things, and I'm looking this way and doing this because I'm not working as a cameraman anymore, which I think everybody understands. I'm working as just trying to get the drops in and thinking, and I'm thinking ahead of what we're doing, and there wasn't anyone to slow me down. I don't think Trevor felt he was in a position to tell me, why don't we try this or why don't we do this? It was just me going for it, trying to do drops as quick as I could, see what I could get. I felt in the moment like, I think the very first drop, I'm in a hurry because all I want to do is I'm thinking of ways to go down in. And I think that was probably my fault. There was no one there that could tell me, you know what, let's take this slow. We got plenty of time. We got hours. Let's just take our time and breathe. And instead of me doing that, I was actually just kind of starting the role of, you know what, I'm going to work myself up and I'm going down and I don't give a shit and I don't care. And nobody's going to stop me. And I think that was the process. And if you watch this again, you'll kind of be able to tell I'm constantly, the wheels are going. Trevor's talking and I'm just sitting there smoking, doing camera drops, and you can tell I'm kind of frustrated. I'm just wanting to kind of go, okay, I need to get myself to the point where I can kind of like just kind of get myself to start going where nobody can stop me or slow me down, like it's too late and I'm already starting down. And I think that was what happened.
Tell me when you can see it again and which way it's
I can see it. It's pointing towards me.
Okay. And that's kind of what we want. Your direction is where the tunnel's supposed to be, right?
I thought it's supposed to be under you.
But it's supposed to be going north. Going that way, Trevor.
Okay.
Everything, it should be going this way, so.
I think I might be able to see that piece of wood.
That I just dropped?
Yeah. It's a rocky bottom, but it's not as rocky as I think it would be.
Uh-oh, I got a knot. Oh, shit. way is it facing now?
Down towards me. It's on top of a rock. Okay, now it's facing the opposite direction of me, down.
So if I was to move it any direction, which direction would you move it? Towards me more?
I don't know. I feel like you got this side good. I don't know. Because it spins as it goes down a little. So you should have a good angle of everything. I think it's getting towards the bottom. But there's a boulder between me and the bottom. Way down there. And so there's no angle you could see from up here of what it looks like.
Come over here. You don't need to film this.
Why?
You need to fucking be behind me and grab my ass.
Well, if you're gonna go, I'm going with you. If I can hold on to you.
Sweet mother of God.
Huh. How far off is it?
It's not far off. It's there.
From the bottom.
Not from the bottom to this ledge.
Yeah, but then you'd have to pick up the whole weight of that ladder.
Yeah, we got to get the ladder over, slide it, invert it, tie it onto this.
Well, then how are you going to get to the very bottom?
That don't matter. I can get that far. How good is my camera drop right from there? Think about it. From there, I can crawl across this boulder to that boulder,
how are you getting out?
To that boulder down.
How are you getting out?
Climbing up the ladder.
Yeah, but on this loose stuff right here?
Yes. We'll be fine. Okay. That's the plan. That was my...
So this was just laying in the bush.
Yeah, it wasn't here before.
No, I don't remember.
It had to be from around here. It's all rusty and old, but... It's all piled up right there. Huh. This is weird. All right.
All right.
So everything's not going well with the camera drops. We're not sure if we're getting what we need. And that's always in the moment where there's no one there. There's no Jiminy Cricket. And it's the beginning of a bad idea. And you can tell as I'm sitting there, I'm starting to realize what I want to do. And what I want to do and what we should do can be entirely two different things. And I was thinking, no, I'm not leaving here. No, I'm going down. And one way or another, I'm going down. And it's that position where there's no one here really can tell me no. And nobody's going to stop me. So that was just the beginning of a series of bad ideas. And sometimes in that moment, it's just you're kind of sick of way things aren't progressing, or you're not getting what you want, and you're thinking, this isn't working, that's not working, what are we doing here? And is it about making YouTube videos, or is it about finding out what is at the bottom of this, and what's real and not real? And it was that moment that I was just, I want to know. You might want to know, but more importantly, I want to know.
So we moved the ladder.
What?
We moved the ladder.
Yeah. This seems like the safest idea, you know that. What?
Yeah, it doesn't feel safe.
It's not going anywhere. See that?
Yeah, but what if the rungs break?
The rungs are not going to break. It's fucking metal. All right, so I got that. Okay, so...
Moment that I was just, I want to know.
Time.
You might want to know, but more importantly, I want to know. Okay, that's the first part I do it.
All right, can you tie this? Can you reach that pipe carefully?
So bright ideas beget bright ideas beget bright ideas. We noticed later that some of the tie downs on the original structure, the rope is literally turning to powder and is breaking loose as well. So it's like tying yourself to other things that are falling apart. But again, it's, you know, I wore a hard hat, which was probably one of the smartest things I did do at the time, because constantly, and it wasn't Trevor, there's loose debris constantly falling in there. And I probably got whacked in the head 4 or 5 times by decent-sized fist-sized rocks. So it was a good idea. I brought it. And I don't know anybody else who's ever been in somewhere you smack your head on a rock or something. You get the worst migraine the rest of the day, and you can't shake it, and it's just horrible. So I've learned a few lessons from that. So going down, I realized I don't want to look up. I want to keep my head down as much as possible. And the hard hat was necessary. So, you know, and I figured the orange worked out really good. Everybody could see me, right? Trevor be able to find me by the bright orange hard hat at the bottom of the shaft when I fell.
Does that mean you want me to have slack?
Yeah, you got to, fucking, for me to get started out on here.
No, I gotta get...
I'm
gonna film you from above.
And the hard hat was necessary. So, you know, and
I
figured the orange worked out really good. Everybody could see me, right? Trevor be able to find me by the bright orange hard hat at the bottom of the shaft.
Right here that I can see.
And so once I get in, and there's basically 3 levels I'm going to have to travel through, I find there's some stability. That no one had been in there for a while or anywhere on those levels, because there's like fine sand, rock, gravel, the stuff that's washed in there. And everything's coated with it, so I'm having to basically kind of with my feet. And then I was able to get enough purchase to bend over and sweep everything off, and I have a smoke. And I spent about 10 minutes probably in that position, 15 minutes, adjusting to it, looking at everything, kind of looking around at what I was seeing around me. It's the first time one of us had been down in there. It's the first time anyone's, I mean, think about it, of all the stories we've told and all the stories that people have told me, it's the first time I've ever had the perspective of physically being there that far in. So I'm really taking my time. And it's hard, because in the moment you want to move so much faster. You want everything to spin by so much more. And it's just not going to. But there's so little stability. It doesn't look like it from the top, but everything's pitched at an angle. And it's kind of like it's tipping in. And then, of course, there's the debris on every boulder. And there's not as much purchase room. There was enough room on that first level to really kind of sit and kind of get my feet, but I was constantly always like 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch slowly moving, so I was always having to readjust myself. But I took the time to kind of assess, look at what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and kind of get a couple more camera drops before we made the final last couple of levels. And the unfortunate aspect is then I'm relying on Trevor now, so Trevor can film a little, but then there's the moment where I need him on the line, because if I slip or something, I need him to pull on the slack to kind of keep me from going down too hard. The main thing was go as far as I felt comfortable, but have something there that kind of kept my balance. I know a couple times I had to yell at him, and it's fortunate we didn't film everything, because a couple of times I wasn't very pleasant when I wanted slack, because again I went to move forward and he wasn't necessarily keeping eyes on me the way he would have been. Now, he's not an experienced climbing guy, so this is kind of new to him, so that was another problem. So there wasn't the factor of where normally you can kind of have someone guide and you're talking to someone and they're working with someone on the ropes. It was just the 2 of us. So he did a great job, but yeah, it wasn't impatience. It was I got my asses hanging out down here, and you need to make sure you're paying attention and hearing every word I say. And of course, I can't look up. He has to hear everything I'm saying, because I'm saying it down, because if I look up, he kicks a rock, it's going to catch me right in the face.
That's a little crazy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
All right. You're going to have to get me a flashlight.
All right.
It's really unfortunate with the IR and the focus and stuff. I wish we had a remote monitor. Yeah, it's nice to have a $1.5 million budget. Again, I see all the videos and all the photographs and all the stuff from these guys that go down in places. And I got plenty of stuff and plenty of places I've been and taken pictures and stuff. And that's the rarity, is it's always a picture guy showing an opening of something, or they climb in like 3 feet and take a picture. You don't see a lot of people, and people go in safe hard rock mines. I do pretty sketchy stuff, and when you do that kind of stuff, I'm not recommending it to people. One of the things is I always feel I'm in capable hands. I always feel like I'm pretty sure I'm going to come out. I'd have to say I just don't have doubts, and I do it. Frank says I push myself too much and I'm not thinking, but it's always worked for me, and what works for you is what you do. So in this case, my impatience probably, I should have been thinking more about camera footage. We also thought, the odd thing is, for some unknown reason, we thought there was audio with the night vision binoculars. And we had the other camera which had audio, and one of the ideas we talked about, was hooking the zoom to me so we had me constantly on audio. Now, two things. One, it's good we didn't, because you would have heard me swearing and getting mad and upset and grunting and all the problems that were associated with it. It wasn't pleasant. Trevor will be the first to say that I wasn't angry, I wasn't mean. I wanted someone that understood what we needed to do and was just going to act and react to it. And unfortunately, he's learned a lot from that, because he was directed what to do, and when he wasn't doing it, he was catching hell fast. And you're usually used to someone that'll kind of deal with that moment. It's you can't panic, you can't worry, you just kind of act and just continue to act through those things. A lot of people always say, well, I'd go with you in this and that. Well, I'll trust my own son, I'll trust Frank, I'll trust certain people. If I do not know you and you're saying, oh, I'll go with you, you can trust me, that means absolutely nothing to me, and it's not meant to be an insult or anything to anyone. I trust what I trust, just the same as you would. And when it comes to me doing what I do, I'll trust myself first and foremost, and then I'll take and put into the idea. Trevor is going to try to find a way to get me out of there, or do whatever he has to do, or listen, no matter what the ands, ifs, or buts. He will always, bottom line, Frank will. Someone I don't know, might not trust that as much, and I can seriously have my doubts about their intentions. So I don't need that. I just need someone that I know, okay, that person, Frank's been under a fire and been through enough stress in life that I have a feeling he's not going to crack. So miss him being there, but yeah, I wish we would have spent more time on the cameras. God damn it, Trevor.
What?
I'm fucking hung up.
What do you need me to do?
There's the moment I get down and I start and the shit really starts to get real, because really I got this rope and nothing else, and I'm trying to hang on, and I realize everything keeps pulling me forward and I keep slipping as I'm going. So I realize I'm just going to go for, well, regardless if I want it or not, I'm just going to keep moving down. So I keep doing things trying to find purchase, but there's boulders, small boulders under larger boulders, and I'm realizing when I reach over to touch them, they move, and I realize that big boulder is being mainly held by that little boulder. So I'm starting to assess where I can't touch, which suddenly limited where I could go. And where I could go was generally at an angle like this with debris on it. So I'm kicking everything off, and I'm trying to find purchases. And there's just not much to perch. There's no place really to wedge. There wasn't really much to do. So I was trying to do that, do a couple camera drops, take some pictures, try to find a way to video. And of course, at that point, I'm telling Trevor, you just got to man the line. It doesn't matter, because I will get what I can in the moment and so forth. But I was starting to realize I got to get back out of here. And one of the problems I'm starting to have is I keep going down, but I'm not necessarily being able to keep myself in place. So I'm starting to wonder about coming back up, because I got to flip around and everything at the end. I'm like, man, I don't have anything to purchase. What am I going to do here? So the going down was easy because I could have just slipped down the last 8-10 feet right then. But I'm starting to realize in my head, okay, I have to look at where the stability is of my way to get back out.
Was it worth it?
No. Every boulder's propped up by a boulder and there's no dirt between them. So you can't put your weight, because the bigger boulder's held by the little boulder. So you're trying to look, and the whole time pieces of stuff are flying by you. There's a couple big boulders just before the bottom, and a couple small boulders like this that are just underneath them that are moving. You can move them with your hand, and they're holding the big boulder up. And there's no dirt or sediment around them anymore. And then on the slope at the end, I kept sliding, but I couldn't grab most of the rocks around me.
Yeah, that's all.
So I ended up with about a 4-foot distance. I had to use just the rope to get back up to where I could get some purchase. And that was rough.
And I think it's worth stating that there wasn't as much filming of the climb and descent down, because it's just two of us, and I had to hold the slack of the rope.
Well, you had to be careful.
And we had to both be careful, and I couldn't just sit there and film the whole time. I had to set the camera aside so the camera didn't fall down, and then sit there at the edge.
Why does anybody want to watch me fucking see if what is it, like NASCAR? You want to see if I wreck? Going down took a while.
Yes.
And I don't know what kind of footage we got, because the problem is there was something like, it looked wood. And hopefully we got footage of it. It looks really dark brown.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see any opening anywhere on the bottom. I saw a Coors Light can, a couple of those boards from up here, a piece of metal bar. And that was it with that Coors can. The floor doesn't look as sandy and smooth when you get down there. There's a lot more rocks.
Yeah.
There's even more now that I knocked a ton down there. But the problem is, like you, even up here, you're not doing anything, but rocks are flying by my head as I'm down there.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't, you can't look up, because you'll get something right in the face. So I'm glad I wore the hard hat, because a couple went off the hard hat.
If we have a couple more rains like we've been having, this thing might completely go.
I don't know. It's more open on the bottom than it was.
I think it's filling the bottom or something.
But when I look at the bottom and you see it, you're going to see what looks like it's packing down. The dirt, the sediment is packing and make a higher floor.
Yeah.
So the opening to the tunnel could be lower down, and now it's actually covered, because there was no place to go. It's an open space. It's as big open almost as this, and it's maybe 3.5 feet high. But there's no place to go anywhere, any direction.
And there's no, I'm assuming, it looked like there was a bit of a drop, wasn't there?
Well, the last drop's maybe 3.5 feet. So it's about 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet, 4 foot from the last maybe 15 feet. There's like boom, boom, boom to get in.
Would you have a way of climbing out from that last one?
Yeah, 3.5 feet. Yeah, you could boulder. Because the boulders at the bottom are big boulders. They're like that thing.
Okay.
But the problem is in between, you got this boulders like this one here.
Mm-hmm.
And see how this one has that rock under it? Well,
yeah.
Okay, picture twice as big boulder, half that size rock. And all of it's clear dirt all the way around. But it's unlike that rock, which doesn't move right now, you can move the rock down there. So I'm like, I can't put my foot, I had to watch where my right foot was, because if my right foot hit that rock, that boulder might have come loose.
Yeah.
So I kept having to like yell at you, because I was like, I needed the slack taken out, because I needed to be hung in, because if I slipped, I'm naturally going to grab or put my foot on something I don't want to. That was one of the rougher climbs I've ever done. I thought it was going to be easy. Going down was a little sketchy, but it didn't feel too bad. And I got down, boom, boom, the first 2 ledges out of the 3 basically. So the first 2 ledges I got to, and I was thinking, okay, ain't a problem. And I wasn't thinking about coming out. Now the hauling my ass out of there, that was rough.
Yeah.
Because I figured if anything's going to go wrong and break, it's when I'm coming up, right? So I can fall back.
Yeah.
Because that's how life works. So I was absolutely like, yeah, kept waiting for something to just go, But I was at the end. I mean, I know you wanted to film, but you couldn't film because I was trying to figure out what we needed to slack if we needed to get the camera out. Because I literally couldn't get turned around, couldn't get back, couldn't find the ladder behind me. And I was just sliding as I went. So I was trying to get some stability.
Well, I was trying to tell you, that ladder, that rope that connects the ladder to the pole,
yeah.
At one point it got kind of loose because I think you were pulling and hanging on it.
Yeah, I was having
and
to
so
put my weight on different things.
When you saw me touching it, it wasn't that I was undoing it. Were you trying to
You want to know what
it?
the one thing that didn't move at all was that tire chain. That saved my butt.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was basically trying to put weight on occasionally to get everything else set so I could get my weight, start to climb again, then grab higher up and then just put my weight on it. But I made it down.
One of the few?
I didn't find a tunnel.
Oh.
I'm kind of disappointed. I left my phone down there. Will you go get it?
I hope you didn't.
Nah, that wouldn't matter. Car keys are my lighter wood.
Car keys, definitely.
No,
if it's a lighter, you could get a new lighter.
No, I need a smoke and a lighter. My hat's not right.
Yeah, you did that. That was one of the things I got concerned about. For some reason, I didn't bother to pick it up, but I left it.
Oh, that's not good. That just came off.
What just came? Oh. All right, you want me to start?
You know, I'm shaking my head at the position I got myself into down there. And I'm trying to talk to him. I'm trying not to get him because he's leaning in, and I know inadvertently he can kick something because he's trying to listen, trying to watch, trying to make sure everything's fine. And I'm trying to kind of get the best shots and best what I can once I get down there. I'm trying to pause, and you got to understand the pure disappointment of everything that starts overwhelming me, because I got a couple nice pictures down in there of a couple of the wall areas. I'm not seeing any tunnel. I'm trying to look at the fill. I'm seeing some of the debris that had been in there before, and it's on the surface still. And I'm looking around, and I'm just realizing this feels like, a bad joke on me. And I felt really, really crappy because I'm like, there's nothing here. And that's a moment where someone could say, why don't you spend 20, 30 minutes filming down there and do all this, get us all this footage? It was like, take a couple pictures and it's just all the air coming out of you. Everything we built up, everything we did, I'm running everything through my head because I'm trying to think, how is this possible? How is it that everyone's said something to me, everyone's told me something, and now I'm here, and it's like, it's not Trevor having to worry about, is he going down the tunnel? What's going on now? He's worried about that. It's me basically yelling back up at him of like, I'm going to come back out. There's nothing down here. And I don't know if he could, I was just like, I was exhausted. I was tired. I just wasn't sure, but my adrenaline was kicking in because I was looking up. It did not seem as far going up as I thought it was going to be, but I realized how difficult it was, and I was going to have to be very cautious and careful, because about halfway up, I was going to be fine. From there on in, I figured it was just physical exertion, and I should be able to do it. But the first quarter, was going to be very, very difficult, because I had to be very careful, because if things started to move loose, Trevor, in no shape or form, was going to be able to suspend me or pull me up out of it or carry too much weight. So it was kind of that pushing yourself, willing yourself forward, moving forward 5-6 inches, slipping back 2-3, and telling him, just keep that rope, just keep taking the slack up, take the slack up. So I'm literally, and what was problematic at the time too is, I couldn't sit there and film. I couldn't do anything. I thought about putting my phone on a selfie stick, and then I'm thinking, well, I can't do that. What can I? And then I realized I just got to literally pack everything in, start getting everything out, and get myself out, because I am not coming back down here today. And so that became the whole problem of the scent, which was far different than I probably imagined.
What happened?
Got up, was down there, had a smoke. Shit went south. So I decided to come out. Got up, sat here, had a bit of water. Decided to have a cigarette before we pack up. Can't find my cigarettes. My cigarettes are in the bottom of the pit. I left them down there when I was coming down there.
Shine the light on it. You can barely see them, but
Are they
it's
under
that
wood or
little
something?
blue. It's right next to the wood.
Did a rock fall on them? Or are they on their side?
It's on its side. It's kind of in between some
Yeah,
rocks.
you got chewing gum?
Chewing gum.
Yeah, we get a stick, put chewing gum on it, run down some parachute cord, and retrieve my cigarettes. Oh, that sucks.
Just pick some up on the way out. I already untied the rope, so he can't rappel back down. We're not going back for the cigarettes.
Yeah.
You can buy a brand new pack. That is not a problem. Hey, if you need something to munch on or put in your mouth, there's an unopened can right there.
Fuck that can.
Who knows what's in it?
Okay, things you should keep in your pack. Spare pack of cigarettes. All right, there we go.
We
All right.
learn.
Let's wrap this up.
I really, it sucks leaving those cigarettes down there. I think I might have tried a couple more camera drops. I might have tried to think of something else. I think the moment I realize, because I get out, I talk myself down, and then once everything's settled, that's when I want a cigarette. Because I'm like, okay, I'm good, I'm feeling okay, I can stand up, we could do it, but I want a cigarette first. And I suddenly can't find my cigarettes, and then it just hits me. And Trevor turned the camera off at that moment when I realized, because there was a bit of a meltdown when I realized where my cigarettes had went. And I couldn't believe it, but yeah, there's nothing like going to the bottom and leaving the tobacco offering that I didn't. It was a brand new pack. Well, there's a cigarette or two missing out of it that I had while I was down in there. But it was basically a brand new pack. And it's a testament that I was there, but it was just so crappy that as I was taking my phone in and out of my pocket and trying to get those last photos down there to make sure we had some clear record and something of this, that there's nothing there, that's when they came out. Because I was keeping the cigarettes in the same pocket I was keeping my phone in. And the joke, obviously, there towards the end is me saying, "Hey, I didn't lose the car keys or my phone." Yeah, that was, not a funny moment when I realized, nope, guess what? I did leave my cigarettes down there.
And make our way out.
What was that doing? Any good?
Well, you would notice all that before you notice the cairn, I would think.
Yeah.
I did. I'm sure someone decided to go off trail. They thought it was cool.
I'm sure
for the
someone
cairn.
came out.
So that's the trash can lid, you say. What is on top of it?
What?
What is on the trash can lid?
Fluid fucking holder thing. I don't know. Who knows what they were doing? Not much of anything.
I'm just looking at the insane amount of blood on your shirt and your arm. Pants.
Yeah, I got stabbed pretty good today.
And that's not even from the spiral, that's from just the brush.
Spiral wasn't terrible. It was scary, sketchy, dangerous.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was more my muscles in that. That was more of just physical exertion. This here is a bit of physical exertion, but it's just everything's so overgrown.
Yeah.
And everything's grabbing at you when you're in the lead. So you're just cutting yourself open as you go. Can't worry about it.
You know why your cigarettes fell?
Why?
It's because your hat. Remember your hat was sitting,
Yeah.
wasn't catching any of the luck.
Mm.
Your cigarettes fell, and it's unlucky, I'd say.
We got out.
So the ascent out of there, once I started getting going, is I found myself in a position where I really, the ladder rungs are deceiving. They're further apart than a standard ladder. So you actually have to take really odd, wide, big steps to use it. It's not necessarily set up to be like a ladder. And I didn't realize this because coming down, adrenaline, I'm just kind of excited I'm going down, and it's easier to go down. Going up, back up this ladder now that I'm tired, I realize, okay, what do I grab onto? The ladder's moving and this is moving. And what I had to basically do is just let Trevor have the rope, grab onto that ladder. I could feel the metal ladder kind of starting to give way. It's very old, obviously. It's at least 50 years old or older. And it's been sitting in the weather all this time. So I'm doing that, hoping no bolts shear or anything like that. And I realized that tire chain's there. Whatever people want to call it, ladder chain. It's a snow tire chain. And it's hanging there. So I realized that's my best way out. Now the tire chain's probably hanging down in there, I don't know, maybe 10 feet. So what I did was I got to the bottom of it, got my hand wrapped in it. And then what I started doing was just pulling all my body weight up with the one arm and trying to get my two legs and my hand to purchase somewhere so I could get something on the ladder, something on the ladder, something on the rock. And then as soon as I kind of get Trevor to pull up the slack and felt I had 5-6 seconds, I would just take my hand out, get it back up in that tire chain and wrap my hand in again and then lock it in and then pull myself in incrementally up 5, 6, 7 inches. And that's how I started doing it. Everything started moving, rocks started moving, things are starting to hit me in the head. I know Trevor was nervous because Trevor didn't say a word the whole time up. Once I got almost to the top, and I think he went to back up, and I think he was thinking about filming, and I told him, don't go anywhere. I yelled at him because I was just so gassed. I had nothing left. I had that last bit to come up and then get on the ground. And I had absolutely, and then it was kind of like that thing of don't get, and then it was like, get out of my way. As soon as I started to get my body over. And then I basically like a beached whale, no weight pun actually there, but I just kind of hit that ground and was like, Now, I walk the walk, I talk the talk, and I did that. There is no one else that has photographs from in there that they've ever shown me. I've not seen any other video. People have talked about it and can talk and walk and say everything they want. You're actually seeing not only the camera drops, you're seeing me down in there, and I went in there and I frickin' paid for it. That was not pleasant. It felt sketchier than I thought. I was not entertaining. I was so disappointed in not entertaining ever thinking of doing that again. Not in that particular site. I'll do something stupid somewhere else because there might be a reason to do it. But I got there and you can tell the adrenaline's rushing, but then you sense and realize the other thing is I'm just trying to, in my eyes, you can tell I'm trying to think this over of like, why the hell did I think that was a good idea? Because that was like a bad idea all the way around. And Frank was there, it wasn't even a better idea. If 2 other people were there to help us, still wasn't a good idea. It was a bad idea. It was definitely the worst in a spur of the moment.
So, I'm pretty sure with everything else, I think I might have torn my stitches in my back.
Oh.
So But I think the adrenaline and everything made me go buy it. And it wasn't until we got out and I put everything back on and I noticed the bandage wasn't there. And I was like, oh no. So I don't want to check because there's nothing I can do right now. But that'll wake me up in the shower.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So, kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But hopefully it held together enough. But I could, because I had to put so much on myself and my back to get myself up. I didn't even think about it. Going down, I didn't feel it. But when I was coming up, I could feel the stitches and I could feel the pull. And I was like, oh no. But what do I do?
Yeah.
I can't stay down here
No.
for 4 or 5 more days and wait. So, well, we didn't have too many more days with decent weather. We were going to run out of it. Hot weather was coming in. I just think this is crazy.
It is.
Of just how much brush there is all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Fire season's going to be bad this year if we're not getting rain this summer.
Yeah.
Because this down here is just going to turn into a tinder
Think
bun.
about it at the spiral. Remember when last time we were at the spiral and we were videoing up there? There was almost no grass up there, no trees. There was nothing.
The
it was bare.
last 2-3 trips, there's
unrecognizable.
nothing there. The sand was open. You could see the stand. You could see the spiral. Actually, none of the brush was over knee high. You could see the spiral, and the
Miles
workings.
away, yeah.
Not a mile, but about
a
an eighth of a
while
mile off. You could spot it. Now everything's grown up. It's gonna be. It won't be impossible to find because all you got to do is walk that general direction.
Yeah.
But once that tree's done, that's kind of your marker. You got the one tree and then the 2 tree. And there was some guy talking how that was an ironwood. I'm pretty sure it's a Palo Verde still.
The one that's in the pit is a Palo Verde.
Yeah. I don't know why he kept saying it's by the ironwood tree.
No, that one's a Palo Verde. Well, it won't be there that much longer.
No.
Looks like there's some quartz in that too. You see it?
Yeah, but that up there was kind of weird because we hadn't noticed it before because that ran for about 25, 30 yards, about that wide, right through that, and just ran a seam of quartz. It was very similar to what we found at up by Black Cross Butte.
Yeah.
And there, and it was pretty close to that those people chipped out. It was pretty similar. There were some big chunks around, but a lot of it was chalcedony. I don't know if, I mean, you can't rule out gold being there, but I don't, it's all this stuff from the volcano and stuff, and I guess there could be something to it, but I wouldn't think. That would be a lot of work to get in up on that spot and then bust that out. The other thing is if it rains in here and it stays like this, it's going to get super buggy. We haven't been bugged too much by
Yeah, there's a lot of bees and stuff in here, but
there hasn't been a lot of flies,
Not
a lot
too
of
many.
gnats.
not too many yet.
I don't want to get up.
Well, the sooner you get up and we get on that trail, the sooner we'll be at the truck in the AC,
Well,
drinking
I
Dr.
can give you
Pepper,
the
and you can
truck
get your
keys.
cigarettes.
I can find a shady place, take a nap. You can go run in, get me some smokes. Get me a Coors Light. In honor of the Coors Light there. And then you can come back and walk in and bring me the Coors Light and my pack of smokes. And then I'll be refreshed. I'll wake up, cold beer, cigarette, and I'll be ready to go.
You don't want Bud Light?
Nah, I don't want Bud Light. We might as well get moving up here. Gee.
So returning home, I had a lot more questions, and I don't know where you kind of go from there. I mean, you get a bit lost. I think Trevor and I got back to the truck, And all the way I couldn't get that out of my head is like there was nothing there. I've spent the last few years of this, all this time I've heard of this, all these people have told me these stories, and there was nothing there. And it was just totally, it's kind of like when Randy Wright did the profile map research and I realized the profile map was not what I thought it was. It's the same thing, I'm sure. Well, I don't know. Stone map guys never give up. But if you were into the stone maps and when you realized Travis Tumlinson made them, it's that moment of where you're just like, there's the trips, the adventure, all the good times we had, so it's not misspent time. But I felt like, it's like I put so much time and effort into this, and to come out feeling just kind of empty. I mean, there's still the how and why. What is the purpose of all this? Why is there so much mystery around it? Why does it still not make sense? Nothing about that place makes sense. And we come back always to the thought of when I asked Bob Schuess, and he said, I've been down in there. And I said, what'd you see? And he said, it was a hallucination. And then he laughed. And then again, he mentioned, nah, that's just, he said, I have no desire to go back in there. But that, yeah, it's by an Aztec, but yeah, that thing's a hallucination. And that's what I kept thinking in the back of my head is everybody's going in there seeing something different. And unfortunately, I have to be the one guy that doesn't have the great hallucination experience. And I see nothing. I see reality probably. And that really just kind of like sucked. But you know what? That's where life takes you. Sometimes you go down the rabbit hole and you find there's a dead end, and that's all there is. It's just, maybe it just is a rabbit hole.